Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. President Trump is making an announcement on shipbuilding in Palm Beach, Florida, with the Secretary of War and the Secretary of the Navy. The Trump administration has suspended leases for 5 offshore wind projects off the East Coast. The Pentagon has expressed concerns over its military radar systems. Illegal immigrants who self-deport from the country will get a $3,000 stipend. The DHS warns what could happen if they don't self-deport. Rapper Nicki Minaj surprises by joining Turning Point USA CEO Erica Kirk on stage at AmericaFest and openly supporting President Trump. We have discussion about this. Drenching rain from a powerful atmospheric river is causing dangerous flooding across Northern California, turning this holiday week into a hazardous one for much of the state. President Trump names Jeff Landry as special envoy to Greenland, why he's chosen the Louisiana governor, plus responses from Greenland and Denmark.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Illegal immigrants who self-deport will be able to receive a $3,000 stipend. The Department of Homeland Security made the announcement today. The Trump administration has tripled the offer from $1,000. It applies to people in the U.S. illegally who sign up to leave the country by the end of the year. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem warned in a statement that those who don't self-deport will be found, arrested, and never be allowed back into the U.S. again. The Trump administration in March launched a rebranded app called CBP Home to make it easier for people to self-deport. The administration says it has removed over 600,000 illegal immigrants so far, while another 1.9 million have self-deported under President Trump. The Trump administration is preparing for a more aggressive push against illegal immigration in 2026 with billions in new funding. CBS has decided to hold off on airing an episode of 60 Minutes about a mega prison in El Salvador. The facility houses hundreds of Venezuelan deportees sent by the U.S. New editor-in-chief Barry Weiss made the decision just 2 hours before airtime on Sunday. The broadcaster said the episode would be aired at a future date. Here's more.
According to preview clips of the new piece, the show will feature correspondent Sharon Alfonsi speaking to deportees who had been sent to El Salvador's mega prison. Alfonsi defended the piece, saying it is fully correct and cleared by new standards officials. She called Wise's decision to hold off on the show a political one. In a statement to the New York Times, Wise said, quote, "Holding stories that aren't ready for whatever reason, that they lack sufficient context, or that they're missing critical voices happens every day in every newsroom." Wise was installed at the top of CBS News this fall when its parent company Paramount was bought out. President Trump has been critical of 60 Minutes. He sued last year over an interview with former presidential nominee Kamala Harris. The case was settled this summer with CBS agreeing to pay $16 million.
And the Trump administration has suspended leases for 5 offshore wind projects off the East Coast. The Pentagon has expressed concerns that the installations would interfere with military radar systems. According to the Pentagon, the movement of huge turbine blades and the highly reflective towers causes radar interference, and the resulting clutter obscures legitimate moving targets and generates false targets in the vicinity of the wind projects. During his last presidential campaign, Donald Trump vowed to end the offshore wind industry. President Trump has argued that wind energy projects are too expensive and hurt whales and birds. The U.S. Coast Guard is pursuing an oil tanker in international waters near Venezuela, and this is the third in less than 2 weeks. Here's what we learned so far on this.
The U.S. Coast Guard said Sunday that it was pursuing another oil tanker in international waters near Venezuela. It was identified by British maritime risk management group Vanguard as Bella 1, pictured here in March in images verified by Reuters. The operation follows hard on the heels of the interception of the Panama-flagged Centuries on Saturday, seen in video published by U.S. Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem. That second seizure came days after President Donald Trump announced the blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. The first Venezuela-related vessel seized by the U.S. on December 10th. The Skipper, a very large crude carrier, reached the Galveston offshore lightering area in Texas on Sunday. The vessels are said to be part of a so-called shadow or dark fleet of tankers that disguise their location and are used by buyers of Venezuelan oil to get around U.S. sanctions. Recent U.S. strikes on suspected drug vessels in waters near the country have killed at least 100 people, while military forces have ramped up their presence in the region. On Sunday, in Puerto Rico's Port of Americas, a U.S. Navy replenishment oiler was filmed, while at Mercedita Airport, mechanics were seen working on aircraft. Trump has said the U.S. will soon start land strikes on Venezuela.
Meanwhile, President Trump announced yesterday that he is appointing Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry as a special envoy to Greenland. Landry thanked Trump for the appointment in a post on X and said that the new role would not see him resign from his current position as governor. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said that Landry understands how essential Greenland is to U.S. national security. He said Landry will strongly advance United States' interest for the safety, security, and survival of U.S. allies in the world. Greenland is a Danish territory that largely governs itself. Trump has said several times the island should become part of the United States. He says the region is essential for U.S. security and has expressed interest in Greenland's mineral reserves. Landry praised the idea earlier this year, while Greenland and Denmark have consistently rejected it. In response to the news today, the leaders of the two nations said the U.S. won't take over Greenland. They demanded respect for their territorial integrity. The White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment. AmericaFest has now come to a close. The four-day conference held by Turning Point USA. NTD was on site to capture the event, including speeches from some of the biggest names in conservative circles. Speakers included Erica Kirk, Donald Trump Jr., and Vice President J.D. Vance, who was endorsed by Erica Kirk for the 2028 presidential election. NTD's Tiffany Meyer was in Arizona with highlights from the event's final day.
The enthusiasm here has been palpable across all 4 days, with attendees passionate about carrying forth Charlie Kirk's legacy. And to end on a high note, even a surprise special guest took the stage. Here's that moment, plus some other highlights.
Hello, how are you? So those of you who know, Charlie was very good about having a surprise for every AmFest. And we are so blessed to have you. We are so grateful. I mean...
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I am honored to be here. Thank you for having me. I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win, and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact.
He says, make America great again, because every American is invited. So if you love America, if you want all of us to be richer, stronger, safer, and prouder, you have a home on this team. I didn't bring a list of conservatives to denounce or to deplatform. And I don't really care if some people out there, I'm sure we'll have the fake news media, denounce me after this speech. But let me just say, the best way to honor Charlie is that none of us here should be doing something after Charlie's death that he himself refused to do in life. He invited all of us here. Charlie invited all of us here for a reason, because he believed that each of us, all of us, had something worth saying, and he trusted all of you to make your own judgment.
This was the first major conference for Turning Point USA since the assassination of its founder, Charlie Kirk. But if the enthusiasm and numbers here are any indicator, this movement isn't going anywhere. As the speeches on stage have said, it's only growing. And with Erica Kirk continuing Charlie's mission, AmFest 2025 drew in large numbers of female attendees, many of those young women crediting Erica with drawing them in. And in the spirit of Charlie, several debate stations popped up inside and outside the venue. For as Charlie famously said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens. In Phoenix, Arizona, for NTD News, I'm Tiffany Meyer.
Rapper Nicki Minaj joined Turning Point USA CEO Erica Kirk on stage at AmericaFest and openly supported President Trump and Vice President Vance. Joining us now for comments is Angie Wong, Republican strategist and political columnist, and we have Democratic strategist Theron Bond. So Theron, Angie, good afternoon to you both. Thank you for being here with us today. So Theron, if I may, I'll start with you. What was going through your mind when you saw the prominent celebrity entertainer, rapper Nicki Minaj, come on stage saying she loves President Trump and has the utmost respect for him?
Well, I think two things can be true. One, all Black people are not a monolith, which means there are variant beliefs across Black people of a myriad of spectrums. You know, some more influential celebrities have a particular belief. Some of the everyday Black folks have a different belief. But ultimately, to use her influence in her celebrity in this particular way for her to finally get herself entrenched in politics, it reminds me of when Cardi B, one of her rap foes, got involved in politics and was campaigning for Bernie Sanders. So to see her use this in this way, what immediately comes to mind is that she's capping for her husband and her brother, both of whom are convicted felons, just like President Trump. And I would dare say she's probably trying to get pardons for them.
Okay, Angie, can I get your view on this?
Yeah, I love seeing Nicki Minaj on stage there. And when you listen to what she had to say, it felt like a coming out moment for her. And I can understand that from previously being in the entertainment industry, where you have to be almost a Democrat absolutist to stay working in that industry. So for her to come out and say, well, I had my own thoughts about this and I had to break away. I mean, you saw the entire arena listening to every single word, because I think a lot of young voters, especially those who are going to things like AmericaFest, they all were kind of conditioned to be slightly Democratic when they're coming out of colleges and whatnot. And then all of a sudden to say, hey, well, there's others like me and I can have my own mind and I can have my own thoughts. I thought that was perfect. The other takeaway from Nicki Minaj is that this really does represent, I think, what we're getting a preview of is a strategy that Republicans will be taking for the midterms as well as 2028, which is to pull in the Black female vote. That is the one base that we have yet to conquer. And I think that Nicki Minaj is the perfect representation for that.
Well, let me say, as a Black woman, I don't believe the same things as Nicki Minaj, and I certainly don't support Trump or the ideals of him or his administration. And what this is an indication of is the repeated pattern of Republicans pandering to Black people. But as a Black woman, I'm here to tell you we are more than just sneakers. We are more than just stimulus checks. And we are certainly more than just rappers who are using their platform to help their own personal lives and agendas.
Well, Theron, let me ask you, regardless of the motive here, I think you would agree that her appearance would definitely have an impact, whatever that impact may be. Maybe you can speak to this.
I would definitely say that her use of this platform has people talking. It created a conversation, it created a stir, a controversy of sorts, which both parties, Republican and Democrat, are associated with for various reasons. But what this also does was further isolate her fan base. All those bees in the trap, all those barbs, a lot of them are going to be no longer barbs now because she has used her platform to come out in support of what is now a very conservative party. But when we look at the infighting amongst GOP, I wonder where Nicki Minaj falls in between those gaps. But this will be continued conversation for days, likely months, probably all the way leading up to midterms. And it will be interesting to see which other power players the Republican Party touts in an effort to further win back seats come next year. But this is no indication of what the Democrats will pull out, but certainly what Republicans doing are what they do best, and that's create controversy and a stir.
Okay, Angie, your response, please.
Yeah, I mean, all those good things. Look, everyone's got players on both sides, right, batting for them. Look, this was an arena filled with young voters, conservatives. A lot of them were first-time political people. They were never involved to begin with. So to have that kind of concert excitement at AmFest, I thought it was great. Look, you had an arena filled with grassroots activists and campaigners. And then they made it just like a rock show. It was great. I think this is definitely the kickoff to 2028. We haven't even gone through the midterms yet. We've still got a long road to go through, but any other candidates looking to jump in clearly saw that Erica Kirk threw it in for J.D. Vance. And that certainly clears a pathway for him. Is it a coordination? No, not yet. But it certainly already gives him the coalition of young voters that no other candidate looking at 2028 has. So, beware.
So, Theron, we were carrying the AmericaFest event yesterday, and I was paying attention to it. There was one statement from a speaker yesterday that the Democratic Party is not your grandfather's party anymore. Maybe you can just speak to that. What is the political climate today compared to maybe 10, 15 years ago? How has the Democratic Party changed from the past compared to now?
It's similar to a quote that is used by so many millennials now on both sides of what they believe, which is we are not our ancestors, which means we are not our relatives or ancestors of yesterday. While all of us have a fight within us, we fight differently now. While in the past, some of us have had to be more demure, more light-spoken, more treading lightly. Now we are more bold, more vocal, and we are talking about our beliefs. We're talking about them in school. We're talking about them at work. We're talking about them at the grocery store. And now more and more people are realizing that politics is at everyone's front doorstep, whether they are directly impacted by today's issue or it's their neighbor. And if it's not their issue today, it will certainly be their issue tomorrow. I will say in the past, Democrats in some years have had great cohesion, but now our party is still in disarray. The one thing that the Republican Party does well is they handle all their badness behind closed doors. And for the most part, they present a united front. While now we are seeing some public infighting due to different policies dealing with healthcare and other things within the legislature. Now it's a little bit different, but Democrats are unfortunately still behind. If we can get behind a unified message, if we can lean more left, seeing as the Republican Party has leaned more right, we might get somewhere. We might gain some more seats back in 2026, and we might have a real shot at flipping the White House and getting that back too in 2028. But it is a long road ahead. We are running out of time as the days go by, and we have got to get to work.
Okay, Angie, your response, but I also want to ask you, I'm wondering here, is there a cultural shift? Because I've noticed previously it's common to see less prominent celebrities supporting or associating themselves with President Trump. But, Nicki Minaj is arguably considered by many one of the top female rappers in the world. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, she's made conservatism fashionable again. So this is great. We're going to see more and more of this. You're already starting to see various Hollywood stars come out for President Trump. They are not afraid because, they don't have, they've already protected their legacy. They don't have anything to hide, but you're starting to see a lot of people come through. I mean, President Trump just honored several celebrities at the Kennedy Center by giving them Lifetime Achievement Awards. So I think that tide has changed. It's no longer toxic to be with Orange Man bad. I think all that stuff has completely died away because of President Trump's performance. He's only been in office a little bit more than 11 months. Look at what he's done for our country as well as overseas geopolitically. I mean, he's completely flipped the apparatus upside down in favor of Americans who would not support this. And we're going to see more of it in Q1 and Q2 of next year when we start seeing the tides turn on our economy. We're going to start seeing the benefits of the big, beautiful bill, the tariffs, all that stuff. I really do hope that all of this translates to November 2026 during the midterms, because we do need to give him a full 4-year presidency, uninterrupted, not by any sort of Democrat control.
Okay, Theron,
hey, Don, I think the reality is what we're seeing with President Trump and the Republican Party is they're continuing to pander to the Black community. They're bringing up Black celebrities. They're trying to talk about Black issues. The problem is we don't see that translate into Black policy agenda for the American people, for Black Americans. So it's great to have a Black celebrity. It's great to play Black music. It's great to have conversations with Black folks. But until that policy reflects an agenda that caters to Black Americans, it's all a moot point.
Okay, Theron, I wanted to ask you this. I got your response to Angie, but I have a clip here for you when Nicki Minaj is asked about why she's speaking up about politics. If you could just take a quick listen to this.
What was the turning point? Well, I just got tired of being pushed around. Yeah. Sometimes you just get tired of it, and then you realize, wait a minute, I have something inside of me that's stronger than what's out there.
Theron, what do you think Nicki Minaj is talking about when she says she's tired of being pushed around?
I think this is where she has a lot of similarities to President Trump. They both feel like they've been bullied, yet they are both internet bullies and talk a lot of trash and throw a lot of mud on the internet and in public. And so for that, they can both identify with each other. But don't dish it out if you can't take it. And if it's too hot in the kitchen, then go somewhere else or maybe treat people better. And there are so many examples of that for both Nicki Minaj and President Donald Trump, where they have spoken about people poorly or mistreated people. And so once again, they can relate on that. But all of this is a show. Nicki Minaj is in the entertainment business and she is entertaining the people. In this case, it's those who came to patronize AmericaFest. But I guarantee you in the coming, I wouldn't even say maybe days, maybe weeks or months, but certainly within less than a year, if I see either her husband or her brother get a pardon, I would not be surprised. And that is what this is all about. And we can circle back to this footage when that day comes. But that's what this is about for Nicki Minaj. She is doing for her family what she thinks will get what they personally need.
Okay, Angie, I want your reaction as well to this clip. From the people that I've talked to who saw this clip, some of them are saying they're talking about how the culture of the last 10 years with some conservatives often reporting they feel stigmatized because of their beliefs, leading to self-censorship. What are your comments on what Nicki Minaj said about being pushed around?
Yeah, I mean, from having worked decades in the entertainment industry, it's a very singular-minded thing. And if you do speak out, that's why a lot of agents will tell, and managers will tell their clients, don't get into politics because there's just no winning formula there. And the stars that do get involved, they're pretty much protected either through the studio or because they just don't care. I mean, Nicki Minaj took a big leap of faith to go up on stage at TPUSA, something that, just a couple of years ago, I don't know if there would have been someone who would put their careers on their line to go and speak up about their faith, their freedom, their belief of free markets, all those things that TPUSA represents. So I really do congratulate her. I can tell she was nervous. I don't know enough about her personal life and her brothers and her husband and all this to make a comment on whether or not they're going to get pardons. I don't even know what their situations are. But I will tell you, I don't believe that this is just self-serving. I do think that she put her entire career, her previous record sales on the line to be on stage with Erica Kirk.
Yeah, so
let me take the time to educate the other panelists and viewers. So her brother was convicted of child rape, and her husband was convicted of a similar sexually related charge. Both are convicted felons.
Okay, so this leads to my next question to you, Theron. Angie is saying that Nicki Minaj is putting a lot on the line here. So I would imagine she's definitely weighing the pros and cons of this, the benefits versus the disadvantages, the shortcomings of this. So what do you think she was weighing? And in the end, why do you think she made this decision, which I would imagine she thought was the better choice?
At one point, Nicki Minaj had a thriving career. She is still very much influential, but that influence has declined significantly. The only thing that was on Nicki Minaj's mind at this point was getting a pardon for her brother and her husband. I can't imagine how much she has gone through dealing with the background of her husband throughout her career since they dated and once they got married. It's been a lot. It takes a simple Google search to understand the background of her personally and those folks who are related to her. I guarantee you that was the single focus in doing this, was if she comes out publicly for President Trump, she too can get some relief for her brother and her husband. Nothing more, nothing less. But again, she's very vocal as President Donald Trump is in person and online. So she didn't have any fear, or she wasn't nervous, or didn't have any reservations about being vocal. You can even hear that in her rap lyrics. She says exactly what she means. She does exactly what she wants, and she doesn't care what other people think. So I don't think she cared what people think. She had an issue, she had an agenda, and she did what she needed to do to accomplish that.
Well, I guess time will find out. I'll give Angie the final thought here because I did start with Theron. So Angie, if you have any closing remarks.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with Theron that everyone who goes up on stage on any political stage has their own personal agenda to be up there. It could very well be not personal, but that she also wants to be a rising star in a movement that clearly half the country voted for in November 2024, which is for Donald Trump. I mean, those could be her personal beliefs, or that could just be the wave of where the trends are going. And it looks as though more and more people are removing themselves from the Democratic Party. We saw the numbers just yesterday, 18% favorability. Well, who wants to be part of a party that's going downhill? I mean, we saw the Miami mayoral elections just a few weeks ago. A lot of people aren't ready to make the full jump, especially Democrats, to the full jump going to Republican, but they're certainly now re-registering as independents. So I think that's just the trends that we're seeing. It's not a personal thing with Nicki Minaj. I think maybe she's doing the smart thing by not being part of the Democratic Party, by not going downhill with the rest of the numbers. They don't want that. So I think this is a really smart move for any celebrity who still wants to have longevity in this game.
Well, all right. We're out of time for today, but really appreciate both of your comments today. Thank you so much, Theron and Angie.
Happy holidays.
The Trump administration says the U.S. will see the biggest refund cycle ever in the history of America. What will be the impact of that? More news after this break.
All throughout your home, appliances and systems just wait for the worst time to break down and leave you with expensive repairs. Unless you have a plan from Choice Home Warranty.
All home appliances and systems have a breakdown clock, and when it expires, it will cost hundreds and potentially even thousands of dollars to fix or replace. That's why every homeowner should have a plan with Choice Home Warranty, like I do. For a low monthly fee, a Choice Home Warranty plan will cover your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, appliances, and more. Don't let an unexpected repair wreck your budget. With Choice Home Warranty, that covered repair is fixed or replaced for you.
Choice Home Warranty has been a great company to work with, and they've taken care of us. I would suggest anybody who lives in a home not to be in a home without them.
Avoid the ticking clock of home appliances and systems breaking down with a plan from Choice Home Warranty. Call now to get your first month free. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll give you $120 off your first year of coverage. That's $200 in total savings.
With a nationwide network of over 25,000 technicians, I don't worry about how my next breakdown will be handled. With a click of a button, my claim is filed, and Choice Home Warranty starts the clock. They do the legwork, hiring the right technician and handling the cost of covered repairs and replacements. And check this out. For a limited time, you can get 1 month of coverage free. Did you hear me? Free. You can't beat that deal with a sledgehammer. But hurry, this offer is ticking away. Once the clock hits zero, poof, it's gone.
Don't fear the breakdown clock. Get a plan from Choice Home Warranty and get round-the-clock money-saving protection you can count on. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll give you $120 off your first year of coverage, plus get your first month free. This offer won't last long.
Get your home protected. Call now.
Don't wait for an appliance or system to break down. Call before that happens. Call 800-983-3523. 800-983-3523.
Kids love it. Parents trust it. Obviously. Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Ganjiong Campus courses led by expert educators. This is spectacular. Children will learn values like respect, responsibility, and knowledge in language, science, and more. Wow. All while having fun. Perfect. Subscribe today at GJW Plus Kids, where learning meets fun.
A new era at the design studio by Mathis Home has arrived. For decades, we've brought you the most recognized names in designer furniture. Now we've created our very own house of brands, designed to inspire, built to endure, and delivered directly from the factory to you. Elevated, on-trend, and uncompromising in quality and value. Come experience our world-class design destination and discover what's new, what's now, and what's next at the Design Studio by Mathis Home.
It may be the most wonderful time of the year, but it can also be stressful on various levels. The holiday travel season is underway, so expect to see lots of traffic and long wait times. Here are a few tips to beat the rush.
The year 2025 is ending on a historic note. AAA estimates a record-setting 122.4 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles from home.
You've got this 2-week period when people are coming and going during different times.
AAA says nearly 110 million will drive, just over 8 million will fly, and close to 5 million will take other forms of travel like buses or trains. For those getting behind the wheel this holiday season, a basic rule of thumb: the sooner you leave, the better.
Early mornings are the best. Those are the times that you're going to have the lighter traffic. Also, you don't have the buildup and more opportunities for there to be crashes or construction later in the day.
If you're heading to the airport, be proactive before pulling up to the front doors.
Do everything you can before you get to the airport. Reserve that parking. Check into that flight. Prepay for checked baggage. It's really going to save you time and heartache when you get there.
And as for those procrastinators who may still be looking for a last-minute bargain on a plane ticket,
there's always weird things going on with airfare, so you can probably find a cheap deal to fly. But is there value in that flight? Is the layover 3 times longer than it normally would be? Is it going to take you 3 times longer to get to your destination?
Severe flash flooding swept through Redding, California yesterday, leaving at least 1 person dead. Heavy rains also flooded highways and roads, causing several vehicles to be stranded. The mayor of Redding said that local police and fire crews have been performing water rescues while workers clear roads and utility companies work to restore power. Officials are urging motorists to exercise extreme caution and avoid flooded streets. Another coastal storm is expected to hit the West Coast on Christmas Eve, with Southern California bearing the brunt of the storm. Authorities are expecting potential for flash flooding and mudslides, especially across wildfire burn scars. Utility crews in San Francisco are working to restore power to thousands of residents and businesses. Pacific Gas and Electric says a widespread outage on Saturday affected about 130,000 customers. The utility company says the outage was caused by a fire at an electrical substation. Early this morning, there were still about 10,000 customers without service. The mayor of San Francisco took to social media to address those still affected by the outage.
They're slowly chipping away at it. We expect full restoration by 2 p.m. tomorrow, according to PG&E. So take care of yourselves, be safe. And as we head into Tuesday night, there is another storm coming. So if you have power right now, I want you to get prepared with flashlights, with some food, because we just don't know what's going to hit us in terms of weather and wind on Tuesday night. So we could see more power outages later this week.
The first outages were reported at around 1 p.m. Saturday, with the grid stabilized by 4:30 p.m., halting any additional outages. Local media reported that the fire was under control by 6 p.m., and officials say the cause is under investigation. The outage occurred during a busy weekend for holiday shoppers, bringing major congestion after traffic lights lost power. Local media also reported that robo-taxi services, including Waymo, stalled in the city following the outage. PG&E said it expects to restore power to remaining customers no later than 2 p.m. today. As families gather, travel, and celebrate the holidays, doctors are warning about surges of cases of influenza. At least 1,900 people have died from the flu nationwide this season, including 3 children. The CDC says that 2 of those children's deaths were reported in just the last week. Here are the details.
At the DC Public Health Lab, doctors are busy testing diseases that could become a public health concern.
The really only time that people see us is when there's a public health emergency.
Dr. Jocelyn Hauser is the director. She says doctors' offices and hospitals around the country send them swabs collected from patients.
We receive those samples and log them into our information system.
Those results are then sent to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. This year, the CDC is particularly concerned about growing cases of influenza. The latest data released Friday shows there have been at least 4.6 million flu cases so far this season, 49,000 hospitalizations, and 1,900 deaths in the U.S. alone. The dominant strain causing the surge in illnesses is subclade K, a mutation of influenza A.
We think that this clade K virus is evading population immunity, meaning more people are susceptible to infection.
While doctors in the CDC say the best protection is to get the flu vaccine, Johns Hopkins University professor Andrew Pekosh says this year the shot may not be enough.
It has mutations that may allow it to evade some, but not all, of the influenza vaccine-induced protection.
As millions of people prepare to travel and gather this week for the holidays, there's growing concern illnesses may spike, and cases are surging around the globe. Children, adults 65 and older, and those with underlying medical conditions are particularly vulnerable to the flu. Medical experts are urging everyone 6 months and older to get the flu vaccine.
Director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, says the U.S. will see the biggest refund cycle ever in the history of America. Joining us to discuss is Daniel Lacaille, chief economist at Tresses Hedge Fund, international financial analyst, and author of the book Freedom or Equality. So Daniel, good afternoon. President Trump says families would save between $11,000 and $20,000 annually. Just to start off, the basics here, would this provide stimulus to the economy?
Yeah, absolutely. This means more money in the pockets of the people that have earned it, and obviously is an incentive to drive higher levels of consumption and allow families to make ends meet, and also to save a little bit, which is also a positive for the economy. Let's remember that tax cuts are essential to make the affordability more prolonged for families. So yes, obviously this would be a significant boost to the economy on the consumption side.
Okay, let me ask you this. Does larger refunds, tax refunds, equal potentially higher deficits because of lower federal revenue?
Yeah, well, obviously, if they come together with the spending cuts that have been announced by the administration, and as we have seen, the deficit has been reduced by 22% from November to November, all of that comes from higher revenues from abroad and also spending reductions. So tax rebates should not have a significant impact in terms of revenues. And if we have looked at the past, for example, the impact of the tax cuts of the first administration, the first Trump administration, did not have a negative impact on receipts. The receipts actually reached a record level, and therefore, if the economy is stimulated, GDP rises faster, and obviously with that, companies are going to invest more, etc. All of that generates a positive trend that would not necessarily drive a higher level of deficit.
All right, understood. And Daniel, if I may, I'd like to talk to you a bit more about President Trump's policies beyond tax, because I saw Fox Business host Larry Kudlow, he's saying that President Trump's policies, like supply side tax cuts, deregulation, drill baby drill, and his trade policy, he says this has the potential to produce 5% GDP growth for the U.S. economy in 2026.
Well, obviously the U.S. can grow. The U.S. certainly can grow at a 4.55% annualized rate. It's a question of all of the difficulties that have been imposed on the U.S. economy to drive higher investment. Energy investment is very, very important for GDP growth, because what we're talking right now, the increase in spending in oil and gas exploration, drilling, transformation of basins, all of that generates an enormous amount of jobs. If you think about it, in 2008, 2009, what saved the U.S. economy was the fracking revolution, no? So energy investments also in solar and wind, etc., as well as technology investments are there as driving factors that can help the economy go from the current annualized 3.8% to 4.55%. Is it something that is going to be for a very long period of time? It depends. But if you think about how limited investment growth has been in the past, since the 2001 more or less period, unlocking investment potential is absolutely essential, and that which creates higher jobs, better paid jobs as well. Energy is high paid jobs, no? Technology is also high paid jobs. All those things drive the economy and what Scott Bessent calls the recovery of the private sector economy.
So how does the administration avoid producing strong growth without reigniting inflation?
Oh, well, that obviously is by not massively increasing government spending. What creates inflation is when governments spend, which is printing money, way too much and certainly above demand. So when we look at what happened, for example, in 2021, you would not have had the level of inflation that the United States suffered if it wasn't for the unnecessary increase in government spending to levels that were 2 trillion above the pandemic highs. So if the government spending is kept under control, money velocity is kept under control as well, money supply growth is below nominal GDP growth, then you will not get a level of inflation that is going to be negative for the economy. Remember that supply-side reforms are not inflationary. Supply-side reforms have never been inflationary. Think about this. The Reagan administration. Everybody thought that the Reagan supply-side measures, not everybody, the Keynesian economists said that Reagan's supply-side measures would prolong high inflation. Inflation dropped dramatically. When you really want to tackle inflation, what you have to do is to reduce government spending, which means higher borrowing, which means more money printing, which means lower purchasing power of the currency, which is ultimately what inflation is, the loss of purchasing power. Everything else, supply-side reforms, do not suppose more units of currency in the system.
Would other countries' economies, whether they're doing good or bad, because, the world is more interconnected now, right? Would that affect the U.S. if another country or many countries are doing poorly?
Oh, well, the U.S. obviously suffers slightly if the rest of the world is not doing well, obviously, but not as much, because the United States is not an exporting nation. It's the level of exports of the United States is relatively limited, and the level of imports is quite elevated and continues to be a trade deficit despite the huge improvement from almost 100 billion trade deficit to 57 billion. No? But all of that means that the United States tends to be more shielded when there is a recession or a global slowdown. And we have seen it in the past. We have seen how the economy in the United States recovered much faster than the Euro area, than the OECD peers in 2021, recovered faster in 2001, recovered faster also in 2008, 2009. No? In every of those periods, what we have seen is that the United States is a much more dynamic economy, less dependent on exports, and benefits from lower price of imports. So those elements should be positive. But certainly the United States would not grow 5% if the world was in a very significant slowdown. But this year in particular is showing that the United States is massively better in terms of economic growth than any of its peers. Remember that we're talking about a 3.8% annualized growth in the second quarter. It's expected to be 3.5 to 4% in the third quarter, while Canada, Japan, France, Germany, Italy, the UK, all the peers of the United States in the developed economies are in stagnation. So, and those economies are actually in stagnation. We saw the GDP figures of the UK today, are in stagnation with rising government spending. In the United States, it's 3.5% estimated third quarter annualized growth with declining government spending. And I think that that is the key factor. That is what is going to drive inflation lower, slower money supply growth coming from government spending, which means lower printing, which means lower loss of purchasing power of the dollar.
Okay, well, Daniel, great comments from you, and we won't see you at least until next week. So let me give you an early holiday wish. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays to everyone, and have a great, great, great time.
Yeah, thank you. Spain's Christmas lottery has selected its winning number, known as El Gordo. The event draws the attention of most of the country every December. More news after this.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. it always came back.
Dad! Okay, here we go, throw it! Yeah.
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Nice.
I was a quarterback at Hardaway High School, college first-round draft pick, on and off the field. We were taught to not show any signs of weakness. During the football season, I would stop eating, but I didn't know I was depressed. I thought that something was wrong with me. For 20 plus years was physical. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father, as a man, and as a husband. Put the importance on your mental health. I'm not scared to talk about it anymore. The first tool is therapy. The second one is positive self-talk. And then journaling, putting your thoughts on paper. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane! Woo! You got this!
My graduation was something I will never forget. People like you and me sometimes may have doubts in yourself, but I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I am blind, but I need not see. I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free.
Spain's Christmas lottery has selected its winning number. The jackpot went to the northern region of Castile and Leon and part of Madrid. Known as El Gordo, the winning number is sold multiple times, can go to winners across several regions. The event draws the attention of most of the country every December 22nd when school children call out the winning numbers. In the months leading up to the event, relatives, co-workers, groups of friends, and clubs often pool their money to buy the ticket together. The televised draw dates back to 1812. Tickets cost around $20. In various regions around the world, countries are celebrating Christmas. We take you to some popular sites and attractions in 4 places ripe with Christmas spirit.
The grounds of a family's property in a central Croatian village has grown into a major Christmas attraction. It started off as a small family affair, but these days thousands of people come to visit. It all began with 82-year-old Zlatko Salai, who grew up in poverty here. He lit up a tree to ensure his family enjoyed the festivities he never experienced. Around 5.6 million lights now decorate the Salai family estate in Grabovnica village.
In 1986, my father began by decorating a single pine tree. After that, it turned into decorating 2 pine trees by the bridge, and next, in 2002, we also decorated the park we had planted. That year, we started decorating the estate the way we do it today.
Still in Eastern Europe, streets and squares across the Russian capital have been decorated with festive lights and Christmas trees, and special venues have opened to the public. A portion of Manyasnaya Square has been styled to resemble a 19th century historical estate. A Christmas fair showcases traditional food and beverages and is decorated with traditional Russian toys. An intricately designed ice skating rink in the city stretches 1 mile along the bank of the Moscow River.
The Festival of Impressions runs from December 1st to February 28th.
and includes more than 15 venues. These include historical estates, where we invite our guests to learn something new and immerse themselves in the city's history, as well as venues at public city events, such as the Journey to Christmas Fair.
Even warmer weather countries in the southern hemisphere are enjoying Christmas activities. The historic downtown of Brazil's Sao Paulo was decorated with Christmas lights and projections, highlighting the architectural heritage of Latin America's largest city. And even with the seasons flipped in the southern hemisphere, a temporary ice skating rink was open, an unusual sight during Sao Paulo's hot weather. A special Santa Claus village has also been set up, with appearances by a hot weather Santa Claus. A local family enjoyed the festivities.
See, it had been a long time since we'd seen the lights like this. It's the most beautiful thing, especially here at Catedral de Sé. For us as Catholics, seeing Catedral de Sé, symbolizing Christmas and the birth of Jesus, and especially showing Peter, who was the first bishop of the church, is very special. It's truly beautiful and very moving.
And back in Croatia, but this time in the country's capital city, an award-winning Christmas market delights visitors. Zagreb's Christmas market was voted the best in Europe 3 times. The city also hosts live performances and a winding ice skating rink. As evening falls, a park adorned with thousands of lights showcases illuminated walkways and wooden stalls. Visitors can eat Croatian pork sausages, cabbage rolls, and drink rakia fruit brandy.
Christmas is just a couple days away, and tree farmers who produce holiday trees are dealing with a new reality. They're competing with companies that make artificial trees. Here's more.
An organization that promotes real Christmas trees says people are not buying real Christmas trees in the numbers that they did 50 or even 40 years ago. The Real Christmas Tree Board says artificial trees have taken a big bite out of the live tree business. Imported artificial trees have doubled over the past decade, but that number fell a little this year because of President Donald Trump's tariffs. Experts say the United States also has 35% fewer acres dedicated to producing Christmas trees than it did 20 years ago. Despite those declines, Christmas trees growers say they got a big boost from Home Depot this year. The company featured a tree farm in North Carolina during a recent ad campaign, and tree farmers hope people will start buying their products, if not now, then sometime in the future.
In the capital of Colombia, special ice sculptures that retell the story of the birth of Jesus are drawing visitors. The icy scene depicts the baby Jesus in a manger next to Mary and Joseph in an installation that has brought together faith, art, and technical skills. The creation took approximately 1 month of work and required 20 tons of ice. It is set inside a refrigerated container kept at 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Mercedes-Benz reaches a settlement following allegations that it hit emissions levels in certain vehicles. 48 states, Puerto Rico, and the District of Columbia brought the lawsuit. We have more news after this break.